Okay. And let me share the screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So the first thing that I usually like to do in trainings is to have you import your Google Classrooms. And so first of all, I want you to look at the interface here. We are in the My Drafts area. My Drafts area is the area where teachers are authoring their projects.
Mhm.
And so what you see here, these are all project styles that were done by me. But then if usually when you log in, you only have this plus button unless you have done already a few project cloning. But if you did not, then to create a new project, we have 3 ways of creating them. One of them is, which is the one that we recommend, is go to the Project Pulse catalog and find the project that you think that you would like to use. And again, the way to find out is just go click on the name, go inside the workspace and check it out and see if this is something you like. And once you like it, then you just come and click on the clone button, which we are not going to do for a minute right now. I'm just showing what you can do. And then the second way of adding a new project is by using our project wizard. And again, in our catalog, we have something that's called single tap templates. And those single tap templates can be mixed and matched in different ways. So, and this way you can customize something for exactly your own needs. And we are constantly adding new ones. So for example, if you do a research project about something, then you can, for example, use our research notes template together with the research analysis and maybe even the conclusion and put them together. And I'm going to show during our training how that is being done. And you can put them together and that creates for you a project that you can now customize. That's number 2, that's using our wizard. And number 3 is basically just creating a project from scratch. And I will show that too. But before I do all that, I usually like you to first import your Google Classroom. And to import your Google Classroom, we
Now,
are
Miriam,
here.
can I stop you for a second? What if we have teachers that, like me, that don't use Google Classroom? Is that a
Oh,
hindrance?
absolutely. You can do that too. And I'll show you in a minute how to create a class without having a Google Classroom.
But just in case, go ahead. So I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so is somebody going to do that? Import? So let me just. So
They
for that,
might, yes, they might,
yeah. Okay,
yes.
so for that purpose, I'm
You
gonna
will.
then sign out and go into an account where I have actually a Google Classroom because it's been a while since I was teaching. So yeah.
It's changed. We have
Yeah,
virtual students now, Miriam.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I guess you've heard about that,
Yeah, I know.
huh?
Okay, so here it is. So to add your Google Classroom, when you signed up, there was a little blue button on the top that said sign in with Google. And then
Yes.
when you sign in with Google, it recognizes you. And then when you click here on the plus, then when you go to create class, then it has this blue button. And it says import Google Classroom. And then you click on it and it shows you the class. So I have only one class that I set up somehow. And I just check mark it. So if I had more than one, I could just check mark whichever class I want to import, or maybe check mark all of them, and then just press import.
Miriam, is that going to create a Project Pals class then inside of Project Pals?
It's
Can
going
you
to
do that?
create, yeah. So let me show you what happened. So here where it says Miriam class, you
Mm-hmm.
will see the class show up underneath where it says my classes. And when you go to members, you will be able to see the list of you'll be able to see the students. For some reason, something in Google, I think that maybe it has to be done because I put here my mom who is speaking Hebrew. And for some reason, it interprets some of these people as teachers. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. So anyway.
Miriam, let me ask at this point, even if we have teachers that don't use Google Classroom, is there a benefit to just setting up a Google Classroom so that you have members to import?
No.
Is that going to, no, not necessarily.
No.
No, okay, all right.
No, and so this is how you actually set up. So that's the only benefit for having me in this account. So I'm going to go back to the other account.
Okay. Yeah. So if you don't have a Google Classroom, then you could just enter your students directly
So
into Project
let me
Pals.
show you how that is done.
Okay.
So you click again on the plus button, but this time you click create class again, the same.
Okay.
You type in the name of the class, whatever you go. I'm going to put in here test and class subject. Let's say science, and grade level, whichever that is, 11th, and then I just press submit. And once I do that, here is my test class that was just created, and I'm going to members, and I see a class code on the top. And what I sent you in the email the student sign up link. So the first thing that needs to happen is your students need to use that student sign up link in order to sign up to Project Pals. Once they are signed up, you give them this class code, and then they will come in here and click on the plus button, and they will press join class. And in here, they're gonna type that class code that you gave them, and they will be part of the class.
Got it. Okay, good.
Okay. This
Would
is
Miriam?
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. If you sign them up via Google Classroom, do they need to go into that initial login site still?
No.
Google Classroom does everything for them?
If you import it from Google Classroom, they don't need to sign up.
Okay.
They can directly sign in.
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
And so here, this is also the way by which if you want to co-teach a class, you're going to give this class code to that teacher. And because she used the teacher sign in, then she's going to show up on the top here as a co-teacher for the class.
Okay.
This is also the way by which if you want to combine two classes to do the same project, also you will give them that class code and they will join the roster. Okay.
Is there a way as admin, because you gave me admin access, to change the role of members in Project Pals from teacher to student or vice versa?
We never had this
Oh, okay. All right.
request before, but if it's important, then I will talk to our dev team and ask them, and maybe we'll find a solution for that.
Maybe the workaround is you just delete them and then have them try again if they're the wrong role.
Yes.
Then.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. So that's how So if somebody wants to try out importing the Google Classroom, please feel free. Let me know if you want to try to do it.
Jen, do you have a class you can try?
Yep, I do. Mike, will it send like a notification to the students at all, or?
Yes, it will actually. If these are their real emails, it will.
Yeah, so I'm slightly hesitant just because I don't want them to be like, what? But I'll just send them another note. So do you guys want me to?
So all you have to do again, did you sign up with your Google login?
Yes, I am logged in.
Okay, so when you do this and do create class, it should have here on the bottom, it should have a blue button that says import my Google Classrooms. And then you press that, then it should give you a list of your Google Classrooms, and you can check mark which ones you want to import and then just import them.
All right.
Did you get your classroom?
Done. Yeah.
Perfect.
Jen the guinea pig. Awesome.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Taking on. I don't know why my video isn't working. I was trying to put my video on, by the way. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's
now okay. So if I go to people, members, if I go to members, yep, there they are.
Awesome.
It worked, everybody.
Cool.
Perfect. Wonderful.
And I'm the teacher up at the top.
Yes. Wonderful. Okay, so the next step, and in purpose, I'm going to do this because usually what happens, I'm so, focusing on the workspace that in the end we forget to show the teachers how to assign a project to a class, and this is important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go and select any project here. Let's say that I'm selecting how to plan a budget for a school, and I'm going to clone this. And now and once I clone this, that means that I'm creating a copy that goes into my drafts. And just to show you what happened, I'm going to go in there and I'm in my drafts, and here it is next to the plus button, the one that I just cloned shows up there. And so what I'm going to do, just open it for a minute. And there I have a button next to the edit details. I have assigned to class. and I'm going to click on Assign to Class. And now it gives me all my classes here. And I need to select one. And let's say that I'm going to select I have 2 test classes, so I don't know which one it was, but I'm going to choose one. I'm going to select my test class, and I'm going to now go and actually, you know what? I need to make sure that I have students there. So I'm going to select my science class, and I'm going to press the Create Teams button. Now here there are 2 options. Option number 1, you are going to decide the teams ahead of time. Option number 2, you will delegate that. When you delegate it, that means that after you assign the class, there needs to be a team leader. In each team, there needs to be a team leader. And that team leader is going to start the project, and they will add the other team members. That means delegation. If you decide that you just, you don't want to deal with that, and you just want to assign the class ahead of time, you should choose Create Teams. And so I'm going to choose Create Teams first. And here it gives me all the students in that class. And now I am going to select teams. I'm going to select 2 students and say Add Teams. And here's my first team. And then select another 2 and add team, and another 2. And I will finish with 1 person who's going to be on their own. And then here it is. So now I finished all my teams, and I'm going to press Finish and Assign. And what happened here is that in the science class, under projects, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 projects there with the teams that I selected. Here they are. Does anybody wants to try one of those? Or, maybe we'll leave this because you will have to decide later what project you want to assign and who do you want to assign it to. So I'm just going to go over this, and if you have any questions, please stop me at any time. Okay,
sounds good.
Okay, all right. So that's what happens. So now what really happens is when your students are joining the class, they will come to this class, to their science class, and they will go into projects here on the top, and they will see these projects, and they will know which one they have to click on to start working. This is also the place where you will come to because you're part of every project, and you will check what they are doing. Okay? Now, what happens when you delegate? And again, delegate doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be just teams. You could assign a project to individual students. So that's also the path of delegating in a way, because you are actually, each student has to press the start button. So once you assign that project, it shows up in assignments here. So here it is, how to plan a budget. This was the one that I just assigned. And when you are delegating, then what happens is your students are coming in, pressing on the science class, but instead of going to projects, they are going to assignments. And in here, if this is an individual project that each student does it individually, every student will press the start button, and that will make a copy and push the project into projects with their name on it. But if this is a team project, and if the students are deciding who is going to work with them in a team, then only the team leader presses the start button. So when I press here start, I also get a message. If you are part of a group, only the group leader should start the assignment. And then they do that. So let's say that I'm going to do this, and instead of a student, and I'm going to now be prompted to add my team members. So I will do this, and then I'm going to say confirm. And of course, because I already did this previously, that's why I'm getting this error message, so I cannot do this. But that's the idea behind it. I just wanted you to see.
Is that because you already had a team of 2 assigned to that project,
yeah,
so you couldn't assign others to it? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, those are the ways to assign a project. Okay, so let's go to the different ways of actually starting a project. So like I said, the first way is the Project Pulse catalog. The catalog has different types of projects. We have starter projects. So starter projects usually are one-tab projects. That's all. They have been done in purpose like that because we wanted teachers who don't feel so confident in these environments to feel comfortable starting. And so this is just one tab, and it usually lasts a day or two to do, and it's usually not very difficult to do. And so so you can choose one of these. Again, you can go into the project by clicking on the title, go inside, check it out, see if it's something you like, see if you want to customize it in some way. And once you're comfortable, of course, you will go in here and you will just clone it. And so
what did you mean when you said it's just a one tab? What do you mean by that?
Okay, let me show you. Let me go into let's say this project. So in a minute, I'll show you everything that's here, but right now I'm just going to take you to the workspace. So that's it. So we, in Project Pulse, believe in computational thinking. Computational thinking, every project in life, you don't solve the entire project at once. You break it down to parts, to pieces, to phases. And so what you see here, these tabs, we have tabs like tabs in a browser. And so what you see here, especially in longer projects, you see multiple tabs, each of them showing a phase in the project. And so in this case, the entire project is just one tab. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what means one tab.
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. So let me go back. So let's say that I am going to clone this project. I'm going to the catalog. I just chose my starter project. I'm going here and I'm going to clone it. And then it tells me, okay, go to project. So now I'm going into the project. And as I am going into the project, I'm also going to introduce you to how a project looks like. So what you have here, the name of the project on the top, here is a description. You can edit the description. You can click on the pencil and change anything you need to change. On the right side, when students start working, they will start seeing a pie chart that shows how much each student did in the project.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that is an amazing motivator.
Yeah.
Now, you can add a video here if you want to, to give them some, overview of what you expect of them. And then you can add standards. So when you click here on standards, and all you have to do is just click on the plus button and select the type of standard. Let's say that we are selecting the Common Core, and let's say that we are selecting English language, and then we are selecting the grade level. And so you guys actually are high school, so let's select something that's high school. And then you just go through all these standards and decide which ones apply. And in the end, you have this save button, and that will add it into the standards for you. Then you can add supporting materials. And again, the types of things that you can add here are websites, PDFs, every type of G Suite file, and every type of Office 365 file, and also YouTube videos. And the next one is tasks. We have something that's called is like a Kanban board. So basically, you can create a task by clicking on the plus button, and then you will describe what needs to be done, who will do it. And here you have a drop down of all the students. Once the students are in the project, then you have a drop down of all the students, and you can check mark who will do this. It can be also multiple students if you want. And then the priority, and then the due date, and how will it be done. So let's say that I'm going to do something here. Oops. And I'm going to choose myself for a moment, and then the priority, and then the due date. And I will type here again something, and I'm going to press add. This is how it looks when you create a task. And then when students start working, they are going to move it to in progress. And when they are finished, they are going to move it to done.
Now, Miriam, the team leader would be the one managing this. Is that correct?
You could, yeah, you could do that. I mean,
I mean, a student that maybe was leading, if you designated
yeah,
somebody as a project leader,
that's
then
right.
maybe they could do that. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you have to decide how much independence you are giving to your students. So if you are giving independence to your students, which you mentioned, then this team leader or will do this, or maybe in collaboration with the entire team.
Mhm.
You can also, if you don't give them so much independence, you can assign the teams ahead of time. So it's up to you. And then statistics. There's nothing to show right now because it's not going to record my actions here because it's only recording student actions. So once students start working, you will start seeing here graphs and information in tables, and I'm going to show you exactly how that looks. You can also co-author. Please stop me whenever you have a question. You can also co-author a project. What that means, if you click on the co-author, is you have to make sure that that person is signed up to Project Pause and type in the email they are using to log in, and then press the send button, and they will be notified that they have been added as a co-author. They will also show up here as a co-author of the project.
Now, Miriam, would they have to be already approved by you and pay the fee paid in order for them to be invited?
So, the fee, as you notice, is for 30 students.
Yes.
We are not charging for team members, for staff.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then let me just go to the workspace now. And so here it is. This is the workspace. Basically, it can be completely empty if you wish to. These are scaffolding that I have, that when I created these projects, I have created. So, if you decide that you just want to give them an empty workspace, you can. Because on the right side, you have the instructions box. And in the instructions box, you can give, instructions of what you expect of the students, including videos and links and anything, and images, anything you imagine, you can put in here. The reason we are doing these projects is because we got very good feedback from teachers and from students. So it turns out that they really like the scaffolding on the workspace. Now, on the left side, you see the tools that you can use in Project Pause. So the text tool is click to edit. So if I click inside here, on the top, I see all the editing tools that I can use, and I can immediately start typing. And it's no problem, So it's really easy to do that. The text tool is really easy. Now to create a new text box, all you have to do is click on the A button. It shows up here. It tells you click to add text, and you can start typing. Now let's say that I don't need this anymore. I'm gonna now, I have the context menu here, and I can go. Nothing in Project Pause is deleted permanently. Everything is archived. So I can select the archive object, and that text box is going to be archived. I'm going to come back to the archive in a minute. Right now, I'm just going to show you this is how you get rid of something on the workspace. And then we also have other tools, like, for example, the media tool. So the media, if I click here, the third one here is the media tool. And to add media, let's say that I want to add here something about archaeology, because this has to do with archaeology. So I'm going to go to images, and I'm going to in Google, and I'm going to pick an image and right click and save copy image address, and go back to Project Pause. And I'm going to click on the plus button here. And here I have several ways of adding media. One of them is by inserting the URL by copying it here. The one that I copied there, I'm going to paste it here. And that's one way. But the other way is also by clicking in here and opening it on your hard drive and finding it there. So I'm going to click on go here. And here is the new image that I just added. Now I have a few things here that I can do. And one of them is to just place this on the workspace. But before I do that, I can rename my image. So I can say here, dig. So in archaeology, dig. So I can call it dig. And then I will click on the check mark here, and that's going to change the name for me. Now I can select it. I can click, and I can select multiple images at the same time and place on workspace.
Miriam, has it created a copy of that image, or is there still a live link out to the internet for that image?
So it creates a copy, yes.
Okay.
It creates a copy.
Okay.
And then it has these 4 handles, and then you can actually do anything with it. You can enlarge it, make it bigger, and you can make it smaller. Anything you wish, you can do with the media. Types of media that you can add images, you can add G Suite files, you can add Office 365 files, I'm going to show you that later, and you can also add YouTube videos, and you can add sound files, MP3. Of course, there is a limitation in the size. So if you are going to do a podcast and it's going to take like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something, right now, we don't yet have a solution for that, how to host a larger sound file. But we will come up with a solution because we have podcasts and people are recording longer things. So we will come up with a solution where to host those. So that's media. The other tool that we have is the question tool, and you see here a few questions. So basically it has this little label that tells you that this is a question. And to create a question, it's really easy. Just click on the question and it comes up here, and just click and start adding the question. You can make it wider or bigger or anything you need and start typing the question. And then the next two tools, I prefer to show you in another project because these, like I said, we are great believers in computational thinking. And we have 2 computational thinking tools. One of them is the component tool, which is this one. And the next one is the events tool. We also have analysis styles. And what I mean by analysis styles are really text that is framed by a label. So for example, here I have a question and I want the student to know that this is where I want them to answer. And so what I did something similar to question. I just created it, custom. So the default is problem, solution, and evidence that you will always find there. But then you can add your own custom ones, and you can call this anything. You can call this cause or effect or whatever you want to call this, and then type in specific text that relates to that. So what our students so far really love it because it focuses their attention. So they know exactly what they're expected to do, and then they do it and they type it up here.
And they can use a particular terminology that maybe is specific to a particular discipline as well.
Exactly, whatever they want. Because it's custom, they can use it for whatever they want. You will see in a minute that we also use the relationship tool to connect them. So let's say that you have one that's called problem, and the next to it you have cause, and you can then connect them and show the relationship between the problem and the cause, and so on. So so that's the analysis style tool. Next is the annotation tool. So annotation tools, what they are great for is when you have a big image. Let's say that you have a heart, and you're doing a project about the heart. Or in this case, we are doing about archaeology. And we want to show what each of these objects are. So the arrows are probably not enough. What I want to create an annotation here. And sorry, I put the wrong thing. I want to create an annotation here, and I want to give it a title. I'm going to say, okay, so here I want to explain what is the ball. And here I'm going to, say something about it, some information about the ball in this room. And then I also am going to add here an image about this ball. So maybe I'm going to do a search and I'm going to type in here ball. And by the way, I can also add videos. So this is very similar to what I have in my room. So maybe this one. And I'm going to right click and copy image address, go back to Project Pause, click inside here and paste the URL. And like I said, we can also put videos in here. And then and here you can also change the color of it if you want. So let's say I'm going to make it purple and I'm going to press save. And so here is my annotation that I can close. And I can also, so when somebody clicks on here, when they see the ball, they will understand the interpretation here, maybe the text that's going to explain what's happening in here. Why did I mention the heart? Because, when you have the heart and you want to know exactly what's happening inside each chamber, or, how does it function or something like that, it's a good idea to put in there something like a video, short video that shows, oh, the right chamber works like this, and the aorta works like that, and so on. And so you can also make sure if this icon is in the way, you can also eliminate that, and then you only have the little label, and click on it, opens up and shows exactly the information there. Finally, this is a very important tool. So we have two tools. One of them is the drawing tool, because sometimes you just want to circle something with a line, or because we don't have yet tables, but they are coming up. That's our next item on our development queue, is going to be tables. This was helping us, the straight line tool was helping us to kind of define tables on the workspace. But like I said, you don't have to do this for long. But we also have the relationship tool, and the relationship tool is a very powerful tool. It has you can decide what types of lines you want. You can have a solid or a broken line, and then the thickness of it, and whether you want it to end with an arrow, and what color do you want it to be. And then every single object on the workspace gets these little dots when the relationship tool is on. And you can drag a line from one dot to the other. Let's say you want to connect these two, and you want to say here, what is the relationship between them? So you can, I don't know, let's say leads to and improves or something. And so this is how you connect objects using the relationship tool. Please stop me if you have any questions, or if you want me to repeat something. I'll be happy.
Miriam, if there are aspects of the project that have a relationship, does that somehow map then to the tasks that are decomposed for the overall project? Is there a relationship that way between those relationship and discrete tasks?
No.
No,
not
okay.
Right now, but if there will be a request, then we'll definitely consider it.
Well, you just had mentioned earlier when we were talking about different tasks, and you can move them from in process to done.
Mm-hmm.
Those are specifically entered then by the project leader at some point. Is that right?
So let me tell you, you remember the demo call that we had, you and I? And
yeah, I kind of remember. It's a little fuzzy in my head.
Okay,
yeah.
And you had a lot of, I would say, suggestions about things that you would like to see.
Yes.
And then I just took it to heart, and we just sat down with our development team, and a lot of what you said, we are going to implement.
Oh, they like me or they don't like me? Which is it? I'm trying to interpret what you just said. Okay.
So on the right side, we are going to this is going to be a whole thing here. We are not just going to have instructions here. We're going to have a menu that will show up. You mentioned at the time that you would like to see statistics for each tab. And I thought that it was a great idea. And so we are going to implement that. So we are going to have statistics per tab. We are also going to have everything that you see in the dashboard, the tasks, are going to move here. And so you're going to have check marks. And task will be connected to milestone. You as a teacher will be able to define milestones and then attach tasks to milestones. The other thing that you'll be able to do is drop these tasks on the workspace and then connect them with the relationship tool, like make a hierarchical map of the tasks. And also, be able to like check mark those that you finished and so on. And so they will show up in that chart, in the hierarchical chart, they will show up as done, or there will be a conditioning so that you cannot move from one task to another until you're not finished with. So all these things are coming. It's very possible that before the winter vacation, you will have a lot of this stuff done. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so so I went over this. Now let me, again, since we are in the workspace, on the bottom, we have an arrow here on the bottom left side. And what that allows you to do is to select multiple objects when you want to move them together on the workspace. So I can now move it together to another place if I had here place. But that's the idea. You have to click on the arrow and then drag around the objects that you want to move together. We also have the zoom in to the workspace and then zoom out and then just move it to normal zoom. And we also have another button here that's called presentation mode, which is not going to be very effective if I show it to you here, because you actually need to see a bigger project for that. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to move on to a bigger project, to something that is, let's say that you are what, yeah.
Miriam, would you say that the project you just demonstrated for us would be the simplest form of a project template that we would encounter?
That's right.
Okay.
And then let's say that I'm going to clone You Are What You Eat. I'm going to clone this now. And I'm going to go to the project. And again, I mean, you have the everything there the same. But here you have multiple tabs. So each of them is a phase in the project. So the beginning starts with the brainstorming and about these two questions. And then, and then moving on to what is a healthy body. And what you see here, this is where I wanted to talk about our computational thinking tools. So this is the component tool. And the component tool, what it allows you to, first of all, it comes from the idea of how engineers solve problems. They break down the problem into component parts, identify those components, and then what students are doing, they are going and they are doing research about those components. So, you know what, before I come back to here, maybe I should take you to a finished project, to one, because that's going to be easier for you to understand what's going on. And so this is a project. This project is, so here is, by the way, the chart that the students see when they work. They see what percentage of the work was done by each student. This is the only statistic the students can see. I'm going to come back to statistics later, but this is what you as a teacher can see. So this is the action. So each student is a color. And by date, you can see exactly how many actions they did, how many sessions, how much collaboration was done. And by what we mean by collaboration is that they are working on the same object together, or they are commenting on each other's work, or that they are either chatting. So you can either enable or disable the chat. And if you think it's a distraction, which is usually what we heard from teachers, then you can turn it off. But if you do, chatting about the project is also something that is considered collaboration. and then hours spent in the system, and so on. And you get the same information here in a table format, as well as those same pie chart that the students can see. You can see it here, and you can see what types of object each student contributed. So everything, all the information is here. But let me go to the workspace here. And so this project, the idea behind this project was that they wanted students to design a transport system that is like the one that exists in Amazon fulfillment system, the Kiva robot. They wanted them to design something similar to the Kiva robot, but they wanted them to first understand what are simple machines and what is the physics behind simple machines. And so here, what they did is they broke down the project to component parts. And in the physics, of course, it's understanding what is force, motion, and energy. And so what they did, the students went, and each of them maybe took one component and went and did research and wrote down the characteristics as short sentences. And what's great about this, and you can add as many items as you want to describe, or many characteristics that you want to describe force here. And what's great about this is that it made students be able to remember it much better because it's short sentences. It also decreased their cognitive load. And number three, it opened it up for other students to collaborate because they can see these short sentences are easier to read than to read an essay about force. And so, and then they can come in, other students, and they can add their own, their own characteristics if the other team member forgot something. And so this is our component tool. And so moving on, the second tab here is focusing on simple machines. And as you see, we support GIFs, so you can also demonstrate here things. And then again, simple machines. Finally, moving on into the fulfillment, how the fulfillment center in Amazon works. And so what you see here is our second computational thinking tool. And this is, so if components are actually describing the main parts of a problem, and then events are describing processes or algorithms, or they can also serve as a timeline. So you can also, if you're dealing with a historical project, then you can put dates here and even locations, and I'm going to show you in a minute. So in an event, you don't have items, you have steps. So this is step one, this is step two, step three, step four, and so on. You can add as many as you need using these arrows. You can also demo this in several ways. So this is the default view, but you can also go to gallery view. And in gallery view, you can display it big, the image is big, and the text is underneath. You can also place videos here. So let's say that they are building a robot and they want to record the steps of how they build that robot. They can do that by putting a video of each step. So that's another option. And then you can, if this is like I said, social studies or anything that has the location has meaning, then you can map it on a Google map. And what you see is when you click here, you see that image and you see the description. So you can see where things happen and what happened in those locations. So this is a very powerful tool. And like I said, the images with the annotation. So here it opens up and shows exactly how the whole process of the fulfillment center works. And then moving on here, this is where they start building their robot with Lego Mindstorms. So they have a component that basically shows all the parts that they will need for it. And here they have components that basically focus on things like how large motors and rotation sensors work. So this is basically, the basic characteristics of how that works. Why do they need this? Because all this knowledge is important for them to then come up with their building instructions, which they use the events tool for. And then, and that happens in here. So once they have this general knowledge about how things work, they can come up with a step-by-step description of how they built it. And even create a video. And again, we support videos, like I said, so you can double click and start playing this video and show what you built. And finally, Finally, you can also show the programming. So here the annotations are very helpful because they explain exactly what happens in each step, as well as they can describe it as a step-by-step process here of what they exactly did. And they needed to also show how the energy conversion happens here. So they are showing that using the relationship tool. In order to create a component, it's really easy. You just need to click here, and on the fourth, 5th tool, type the name of the component in here, put an image in there, and I'm gonna just, type in here test. And you know what, maybe not. Let me just go back to that project that I showed you before, and then we can continue, because this is a finished project that I don't want to miss. So I'm gonna go back to that project that I cloned.
Miriam, do we also have access to what I might call exemplar projects like the one you just showed us? Will
Yes.
those be available to us as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let me show you where that is. Again, in the catalog, and here is completed projects. And you can go in there and check them out, see what happens, including this project, Products in Motion, the one that I showed you. So let me just go back here and go back to that project, You Are What You Eat. And
Okay. He didn't, but I know that is the truth because of Ms. Heverkos. So it's now your time.
I'm fairly certain, yeah.
okay.
Go get him.
All right, so here to
I'm
create,
sorry.
that's okay. To create a component, just click here. Like I said, type in the name, put an image in there, and then once you created it, this is how it looks. Healthy living component, and you replace the name here. So the kids had to come up with different components for healthy living. So let's say food or what you eat. And then the other one would be exercise. So all these components of healthy living. So they would replace it. And so I'm gonna say here, exercise. And then put an image. I'm not gonna put an image now. And then I have these that I created for the students already, so they can just highlight this and type in one characteristic of exercise. So, and then so they will type that in. And to add more, all they have to do is just press add item, and they can add more. And they can also, and they should also add an image here that describes that step, that characteristic. And they can also add additional supporting media in the form of files or other media or other videos or anything that they need. They can also do that. So that's the components. And when you open the branches, it actually tells you replace this with one characteristic of your healthy living component. And so they know what to do here. And then to create an event, and I'm not sure if I have an event here, but it's exactly the same thing. I don't think I have an event, but I'm just gonna show you here. So to create an event, you just go in here, the 6th, and type in how to exercise. So that's the how to, that's the step-by-step thing. And then you start by describing how to exercise. And so on. And then again, in order to add a step, just click add step. And here, like I said, because the event tool is such a diverse tool, you can add, like I said, dates. And you actually need to type the date, because here we wanted to allow, if you do a historical event, to be able to put 500 AD or 600 BC or something like that. So you actually need to type it. And location, let's say that this is happening in Los Angeles, and you find it on the map, and you press save, and then it adds a coordinate. And, and then it will display, like I showed you before, it will display on a Google map. So that's the event tool.
Hey, Miriam, is this something that typically the students are adding as they work, and the teacher is not front loading and having this already prepared? These are just tools that the students are using to show their thinking and planning and all that.
Exactly. Nothing here is done by the teacher the only thing that you can do is to prepare these scaffolded tabs that where you will say to them, oh, replace this text with something, but they actually have to come in and do the research and do everything. And like I said before in the beginning, if you choose not to give them any scaffolding on the workspace, that's fine too, because you can add all the instructions here on the right side. So, you know, it's up to you completely.
But Miriam, when they're first starting using Project Pals, do you think it would help to provide that scaffolding
Absolutely.
until they get used to it, and then
Yes.
you could pull some of that scaffolding away as they
That's right.
get stronger? Okay.
That's right. That's what I would do. Yeah. And so that's components and events. So I showed you that. Now comes the real thing. And let's say that I want to show some special aspect of this project. I don't know, maybe do a compare and contrast or something. And I already gathered a lot of information. Everything that students create, every data, that every asset they're adding to the project is stored in our content library. So this is the content library. And what you have here, these are the recent additions that were added to the project. Once this flows over, then it goes to by type of asset. So if text boxes will be all here, questions will be over here, components will be here, events here, and analysis styles will be here. And so, let's say that you want to use one of the text boxes that you created, and you want to reuse it. You can come in here, click on the arrow, and copy to workspace. And it will do it. So here is that. Let's say that you need 2 of these, or any object, any asset on the workspace. All you have to do is go to create copy, and it will do exactly a same copy for you, and it's going to be unique. So if you type something else here, it's not going to change your original. So this you can do for any object on the workspace. You can use the create, and it's very comfortable to do that because you don't have to each time go and recreate everything from scratch. And let's say that you are just making a compare and contrast, and now you need to use the components, all this information you created, and you have all this information there about healthy living now, and you want all these items that were already created, you want to reuse in your compare and contrast. So you open that component, and each of the items is showing up here, and you can go here and you can say copy to workspace. And here is the information was copied to the workspace. You can resize it and arrange it in a table format and put next to each other a lot of this information and just make a whole comparison or whatever you want to do.
Or it could even be a summary, that kind of thing. Maybe you're summarizing the project at the very end, that sort of kind of thing. Okay.
So basically, it allows you to present knowledge in different ways. So, you know, you can add more tabs, and it allows you to use the same information that students already gathered. They don't need to, again, go in there and do again the research because they forgot or something. Everything is there. They can reuse it and, you know, and arrange it in a different way that will give them a different perspective on their knowledge.
Now, Miriam, your development team may hate me for this, but can project teams share assets?
Yes, they can. Project teams.
Yes, project teams, across teams.
Across teams. So what you can do is, so far it's not across teams. What you can do is you can copy it to another project. You can copy any asset to another project that you have, that you are part of right now. That's what we are able to do at this point.
Well, so that's an easy fix, that the other project would just add one team member as a member temporarily. They could copy then an asset and then take that person away, I suppose.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, cool. All right.
And one more thing that we have here, when you add a tab, you can also add a tab from a template. So you can reuse our one-tab templates here. So you don't necessarily have to go to the wizard to do that because you can now reuse it from here. So whichever you choose, you can add it here. It's going to give you all the scaffolding that's available in that project, in that one tab. So that's now one more thing is the archive. So we have, you probably noticed that probably in another project, I archive things. To reach the archive, so let's say that I'm gonna now archive this, and I'm gonna go into the content library, and I'm gonna switch to archive here on the top. And I just did this, and I can now restore it. So here it is, it was restored for me. So this is, again, against students who either in purpose or inadvertently remove objects that other students did. So nothing will disappear. You also have a lot of, so, okay, so that's that. Let me go for a minute, because we don't have much time. Let me go and focus a little bit on the analytics. And I'm gonna go back to that same science class and go in here and go to the statistics. So this is the statistics that you see, like I said before, but you also see other information. So let me go to the workspace. So I already showed you this one, but let me go to the workspace and show you what else you can see. So here you can click on the context menu and you can go to show history. And in show history, you see who contributed, what did they do, what exactly was the information they contributed. And here they added an image, and so you can see by time, there's a timestamp and everything, you can see exactly who contributed what. Okay, again, this is also moving to the left side. There will be a report, like when you open this left side, there will be a report by students and listing all their contributions for that day.
So Miriam, because we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
So with and we'll have an advanced feature training later, some other time.
That's right.
But for our students to get started on this, would you suggest they just take a single tab starter, that kind of template, and just begin there, just to get acclimated then to the Project Pals environment?
Yeah, that's one option. Option number two, if you want to use that advanced training for me training your students, that's another option.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
It's up to
I'll
you.
consider that.
So
Okay.
what I was going to do in the advanced training is focus more on computational thinking, but since I have a little bit of time to introduce you to this, you can always get back to me with questions if there's difficult. I mean, I was going more into project design. I was going to go into project design and more into computational thinking. But if you prefer, we can switch that to something. Since this is Zoom, now we are living in a Zoom world, and your students probably are accustomed to Zoom already. I can join that Zoom call and I can train them.
Let me think about that. I'm not quite sure how to answer you on that. So give me a little bit of time if you don't mind. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. It's up to you. I mean, I will give you the recording, so you will always have that. The other thing that we have is we have a on YouTube, we have videos that are from 1 minute through, and the longest, I think, 7 minutes, of introducing each functionality, each of them. So that's another option for the students to go and see, oh, how do I add text? Or how do I add media? Or all these things exist on a YouTube video.
Oh, that's interesting. So maybe that could be a good, maybe give them a starter, or they choose a starter template and then go to the YouTube videos and just add some of those features. That might be a good way to just begin the whole process for that. Is that what you were suggesting?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And then I wanted to show you presentation mode, which I didn't show you before because it didn't have meaning in a one-tap template. So if I click in here, then this is presentation mode. And so you go in here and you can present to the class by using these arrows. It turns out to be like a PowerPoint. Finally, give me just one more minute. I know we are maybe have 1 minute left, but I wanted to show you how to create a project with the wizard. So you click on the plus button and it prompts you to give the project name. So, oops, we have a problem here. Okay, I guess this is something that probably a bug that that I just discovered. But basically, you just type in here the project name, then it takes you to the next screen, and you type in the description, and then it gives you the option of choosing one of those one-tap templates that I showed you before that you can also access when you are adding a new tab. And then you can mix and match and combine and create your own project. I apologize for that. We can do this in the next training. I can show you. The same
fine.
way,
That's
this
fine.
is the same way how you do a project from scratch, because once you type in the name, you type the description, and one of the options it gives you is to choose a blank template. And when you choose a blank template, that's the project from scratch. So I think that I covered everything except for one thing, which I did not, is how to get help. And let me just sign in with my other account, because as an administrator, I don't have access to that.
Because administrators have all the answers, right?
Yeah, they do.
Supposedly.
Yeah. And so, so here, if I go into this project and go to the workspace, then I have, oops, what happened to intercom? That's weird. We are coming out with a marketing campaign today, and for some reason we may, oh, here it is, okay. So on the bottom, on the right side, you see this, and if you click on it, then you can communicate with us, and you can send us a message. So you can say, send us a message, and then you just type in here, let's say, I need help. And then it gets to us, we are immediately responding. And then the other options are to look in our support library to find an article about something that you need, and to also look into our videos, available videos. So all this is available here. Okay, so that's support. That's how support happens. So you guys have any questions before we finish this?
I think.
Hi, I'm Kim Jarvis. Real quick.
Go ahead, Kim.
I was just wondering about the video files that she was talking about adding to the projects. Are they a certain requirement, like an MP4 file or an AVI file?
So right now, all we support is YouTube. So if you have any video, we recommend that you upload to YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, that's what we support right now, but we will support more. So that's coming up.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Love the product.
Yeah, Miriam, I don't have any other questions. I just need to get into the sandbox now and play around for a little bit.
Cool.
And I'm sure I'll have more questions as the days go by.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I'll yield to anybody else that's in the room in the waning.
Okay.
Anybody else have questions then before we adjourn?
I'm good. I'm the same as you, Mel. I feel like I just want to play around with it a little bit. It looks really, it's really neat though. I like it.
Thank you.
Same here. Thank you. That was
Okay,
great.
thank you. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm available for any answers.
Very good. Thank you, Miriam. We'll be in
Thank
touch
you.
about our subsequent training then.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you for your time today.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay.